This task is from our writing and graphing linear equations unit, focusing on writing in slope-intercept form given 2 points. This task is set up just a little bit differently as far as the format. So with this task, we actually are going to give the students about 5 minutes at the boards, their vertical spaces, to talk and collaborate. We want them to kind of get some ideas, and then they're going to go back to their seats and we're going to share out some ideas. So in that 5 minutes, they're going to look at the question we've got: how can you find the equation if you are given only 2 points? Now, they need to make sure that this is going to be put into slope-intercept form. So we want them to start with what they know in that 5-minute conversation. What they know is slope-intercept form. So then it becomes, what do we need to find in order to write the equation in slope-intercept form? One of the pieces that they need to find is the y-intercept. They also need to find the slope. Now, during that 5-minute time that they have at the vertical boards with their random groups, we want them to be talking about what can they use from what they've learned in previous lessons to tackle this task. So at this point, we're not asking them to really solve or find an answer right now. We really just want them to be brainstorming. So when we bring them back to the tables, we keep them in their random groups and we ask groups to share out what their thoughts were. So the two main ideas that we heard were, well, we can go ahead and graph it and figure out the equation from the graph if we plot those 2 points. And the other idea was that we could go ahead and find the slope looking at the change in y over the change in x. These two pictures show the thought process and ideas that came from several of the groups when we did this task. Now, after they shared out the ideas, we sent them back to the vertical boards to work through this task. So on the left, you'll see some of the groups focused on doing slope first, finding the change in y over the change in x. But this is where you'll see there's 2 arrows. So we kind of had some groups get stuck. So once they find the slope, they didn't really know what to do after that. So then they pivoted and went to the graphing method. Some groups were able to keep going with that method. They put the slope into the y-intercept form, and then they plugged in one of the points to help find y-intercept. On the right, you're going to see the graphing method. So most of our groups put the 2 points on the graph and then found their rise over their run and plotted additional points to see where that line intersected the y-axis to find out the y-intercept. Overall, I would say the majority of our groups defaulted to using the graph, or at least using the graph to check their other methods. So even if they did use the change in y over the change in x and plug in a point, they still wanted to verify it with the graph.